Okay, let's just dive right in. It is Thursday, January 29th, 2026. And I want you to just, for a second, look at the machine you're probably listening to this on. If it's a PC, if it's running Windows, there's a very, very good chance that machine has been driving you crazy for the last year.
That's probably a safe bet for, what, millions of people, unfortunately.
Because today, we are looking at a huge story. I mean, it's breaking right now in the tech world.
Hmm?
Microsoft has basically issued a mea culpa. They've admitted that Windows 11 is, well, it's broken.
It is a really significant moment, and we're basing this deep dive on a report that just dropped from Windows Central. It's by Zach Bowden, who is, he's probably the most plugged-in Windows journalist out there.
And the headline says it all, doesn't it?
It really does. Microsoft promises 2026 will be a better year for Windows 11.
Which, by definition implies 2025 was not a good year.
Exactly. And that's really the mission for our deep dive today. We're not just looking at the promise. We need to understand why 2025 was considered such a disaster for the OS. We need to dig into these specific pain points they're finally admitting to, and some of these failures are technically fascinating, and then we have to figure out if this whole pivot, this move from AI everywhere back to reliability, if that's a genuine shift or if it's just damage control.
Because reading through the reporting and just the community feedback online, the feeling isn't just, oh, we're annoyed, it's more like, we're done.
It is. I think we are looking at a genuine tipping point here. In the relationship between a tech giant and its users. This isn't just about bugs. It's about a breach of trust.
So let's get into that, this rough year. The source material, it really doesn't pull any punches. It says that a lot of people are now seeing Windows 11 as the latest bad version. We all know that cycle.
The old TikTok of Windows releases. It's almost a superstition at this point.
It is, right? You had Windows XP, which was, everyone loved XP, the gold standard. Then came Vista.
Vista was ambitious, let's call it that. But it was a performance nightmare. It was slow. Drivers didn't work. It was a real struggle.
Then Windows 7 comes in, saves the day, perfect operating system. And then Windows 8.
Oh, a total mess. Just confused. They got rid of the start button to force everyone onto touchscreens nobody even owned yet.
And then 10 was solid again. The workhorse. Which means Windows 11 is now sliding right into that bad slot.
It really is. And what's interesting is the report uses this very specific, very evocative term to describe what's happened this past year. It talks about the enshittification of the user experience.
Yeah, it's a strong word. I know Cory Doctorow came up with that for social media platforms, but for an operating system, what does that even look like on Windows?
But it fits, it's that slow degradation of quality where the products stop serving you, the user, and start serving the company's other goals. The source argues Microsoft just failed to treat Windows as a first-class citizen.
So it stopped being the product and started being the billboard for other products.
Exactly that. It became a vehicle for, ads in the start menu, nagging you about OneDrive subscriptions, pushing services you never asked for. The goal wasn't help the user open a file faster. It was, how can we use this screen to get more money out of them?
But this wasn't just a vibe shift, was it? It wasn't just aesthetics. The sources here are packed with specific technical nightmares from 2025. Just look at these headlines.
Update chaos was just unprecedented.
Update KB 5074109.
The one that will live in infamy.
The source headline literally says, Microsoft now says to uninstall it. That's just wild to me. You push out an update to millions of machines and then have to say, actually, please remove that immediately.
It's the definition of a broken quality control pipeline. And just to be clear for you listening, this wasn't a my icons look funny kind of bug. We're talking about boot loops.
Which is the absolute cardinal sin of an OS.
It is. If the computer doesn't turn on, nothing else you do matters. No cloud, no AI, no email. You're just left with a very expensive brick.
And speaking of email, let's talk about the unusable Outlook bug that the source mentions. That one seemed to drive people absolutely crazy.
Well, just imagine the situation. Microsoft rushes out emergency updates to fix the boot problems. But because they're scrambling, those same updates miss a huge conflict in Outlook.
So you finally get your computer to turn on, but now the main application you use for work is completely broken.
Correct. So you've got people trying to do their jobs, send critical emails, and Outlook just freezes or crashes. The source brings this up specifically because it shows that cascading failure. One rush fix breaks another system, and the user is just stuck in the middle.
And that's what I mean about the frustration. It's not, oh, this design is ugly. It's, I literally cannot do my job today.
And that's where the source's analysis gets really sharp. It's about a breach of that fundamental contract between you and your computer. you know? The OS provides a stable platform. I do my work. If the platform stops me from working, that contract is broken.
So we have to ask the question, why? I mean, Microsoft isn't some small startup. They have almost unlimited resources, some of the best engineers in the world. Why was 2025 such a disaster?
2 letters. AI.
Ah, yes, the great obsession.
If you look at their strategy for 2025, the source makes it clear. Microsoft was absolutely determined, like singularly focused on making Windows a frontier platform for AI.
They wanted Copilot everywhere. They literally added a dedicated key to the keyboard.
Which is the biggest physical change to keyboards in decades. Just think about that. They altered the actual hardware to force a button for a service that, let's be honest, most people weren't even asking for.
And they shoved it all over the software, too.
Everywhere. Every single app, every corner of the UI. If there was an empty space, the plan was to put an AI button there. But the source uses a phrase for their internal strategy that I found, well, interesting and a little terrifying. They called it an agentic platform.
Agentic. I saw that. It sounds like something from a bad sci-fi movie. What does that actually mean for Windows?
It means the computer has agency. It moves from being a tool you use, like a hammer, to a partner that does things for you, or maybe instead of you. The OS starts trying to anticipate what you need, moving your files, summarizing your day.
So the computer's basically saying, hey, I know what you want better than you do.
Precisely. And the users, they hated it.
Hated it is putting it mildly. The report says that literally any mention of AI from Microsoft on social media was just met with this tidal wave of negativity.
Which is so fascinating, right? Because Wall Street loves AI, the shareholders love the idea of it, but the actual person sitting at the desk just wants to open their spreadsheet without a chatbot popping up.
There's a total disconnect. And this is where it gets really awkward. We have to talk about Pavan Davuluri,
The president of Windows.
There's this one anecdote in the source that it perfectly captures this whole disconnect. He posts a tweet about the glorious agentic platform future. And what happens?
The backlash was so fast, so toxic, and so overwhelming, he had to disable the replies.
Just pause on that for a second. The head of Windows, talking about the future of Windows, has to mute Windows users because they're so angry with him.
It's a massive signal failure. It shows that Microsoft just completely and totally misread the room. They thought users wanted an AI companion. Turns out users just wanted a start menu that opens instantly.
It's the classic, we built you a spaceship, but you just wanted a working bicycle problem.
Exactly. And that incident, him shutting down the replies, that seems to have been the real wake-up call in Redmond. The source suggests that was the moment they knew the strategy had failed. You can't build a product if you're terrified of your own customers.
Which brings us to today, the great pivot.
The pivot.
Microsoft gave a formal statement to The Verge. They've confirmed they heard the feedback. So what are they actually promising to do?
Well, they're promising to fix the pain points, and they've laid out 3 pillars for 2026. System performance, reliability, and overall experience.
Okay, I have to be the skeptic here for a moment. Isn't that just what an operating system is supposed to be? Reliable and performs well. It sounds like a car company announcing great news for 2026. Our cars will now include wheels.
You're absolutely right to be skeptical. It's the absolute basics, the table stakes. But the fact that they have to list reliability as a headline feature for the year is a huge admission that they completely lost it in 2025.
Right. It's admission by what they're saying.
It is. It's them shifting from new features back to fundamentals. The analysis in the source makes it clear this is significant because it's them admitting they have to find a balance. They push the AI stuff so hard that the core system it became unstable. Now the pendulum has to swing back.
The source mentioned a comparison to an older tweet from Davuluri about developers. Do you remember that?
I do. A few months back, he made a similar "we hear you" statement to the developer community because they'd been alienating them too. It shows a pattern. They push too hard in one direction, hit a wall of massive resistance, and then they have to walk it all back.
So we've got the apology and the promise. 2026 will be better. But here's the part of the reporting that really worries me. How do they actually fix it? Because their main tool for this is the Windows Insider program.
The beta testers. The frontline soldiers.
Exactly. But according to Zach Bowden's reporting, that whole system is broken too.
He calls it a shell of its former self. And this is a really critical point for you, the listener, to understand. Your computer isn't buggy just by chance. The very mechanism designed to catch bugs is broken.
Okay, break that down. What's different about the Insider program now?
It used to be this really clear system. You had different rings, a fast ring if you were brave, a slow ring if you were cautious. You knew what you were testing.
And a bug in the fast ring would get fixed before it ever reached the public.
That was the idea. It was a funnel. But now, the source says Microsoft has switched to this strange A/B testing model inside the program.
A/B testing, like for a website headline.
Exactly, but for an operating system. So you might sign up for the dev channel, but you don't even get the new features that someone else in the same channel gets.
So everyone is testing a slightly different version of Windows.
Yes, which means the feedback is totally fragmented. If you report a bug, they might not know if it's the new feature or some weird interaction because they don't have a clear picture of what code you're actually running.
The feedback loop is completely severed.
In essence, yeah. If your testers can't reliably test what you're building, you're not getting good data. You are effectively flying blind. And that explains how an update like KB 5074109 gets out the door.
They didn't see the iceberg because their radar was off.
They likely had no clean signal from the insiders that this thing was going to brick machines because the test group was just too diluted.
That's deeply concerning. It means the problem isn't just a few bad decisions, it's a broken system for making decisions.
And that ties into another point the source makes, which is key to understanding Microsoft's attitude here. It's what you could call the billion-user fallacy.
Oh, I love this part. Microsoft always brags about Windows having 1 billion users. It sounds great on a slide.
It sounds like success, right. But the argument is that huge user count doesn't mean it's a good platform.
Because
Yeah.
where else are you supposed to go?
Exactly. It's a captive audience. If your job needs Excel and your games need DirectX, you use Windows, that doesn't mean you like it. You're a hostage, not a happy customer.
It's like your power company. You don't love them, you just need the lights on.
Right. But if the lights start flickering every single day, you start looking into solar panels.
And the risk of people leaving is real now.
It is. When you break that trust so badly, people start looking for the exits. We're seeing it in the data. Did you see that little detail in the sources about Windows 10?
Windows 10 might be gaining ground again. I mean, that has to sting.
It's the ultimate vote of no confidence. Windows 10 is an old OS. Support is ending, but people are actively trying to go back to it because Windows 11 is so unreliable. That's a crisis.
It feels like the XP users, who refused to upgrade to Vista for years, clinging to the lifeboat because the new ship has a hole in it.
It's the same energy, and all the sarcastic headlines about a new Windows phone, it all points to the same thing. Users are looking backward to when things just worked, or even worse for Microsoft, they're looking sideways at Macs, Chromebooks, or even Linux.
It really paints this picture of a user base that just feels trapped and ignored. And when people feel trapped, they get angry. That explains all the toxic replies to executives.
It does. So let's bring this back to you, the listener. You're at your desk, you've got Windows 11. Maybe you were one of the people who had to uninstall that bad update. What does this promise for 2026 actually mean?
Yeah, if they pull this off,
Uh-huh.
what does a good 2026 even look like?
Ironically, if Microsoft does its job right, it should be a very, very boring year for Windows.
And boring is good.
In an OS, boring is beautiful. Boring means you turn it on, you open your app, you do your work, you shut it down. No blue screens, no pop-ups, no broken Wi-Fi.
The tool just becomes invisible again.
Exactly. The best tech is the tech you don't even think about. 2025 made us think about Windows constantly because it kept breaking. 2026 needs to be the year it just fades into the background.
The skepticism is still there for me, though. Can they really turn this ship around? They've bet billions on AI. Wall Street wants AI. Are they really going to slow down just because a few million users are upset?
That is the central conflict, isn't it? The business incentives are all screaming AI, growth, agentic platform. But the customer reality is just screaming stability, performance, and Microsoft is caught right in the middle of that.
And here's the thing. If they don't fix the stability, none of the AI matters anyway. You can't use a fancy AI agent on a computer that won't even boot up.
Precisely. You can't build a skyscraper on a swamp. And they let the foundation get swampy in 2025 because they were trying to dig it up and shove AI into the bedrock. They have to fix that foundation in 2026 before they can add any more floors.
I like that analogy. Don't build on a swamp. It seems obvious, but here we are.
Well, common sense is usually the first casualty when tech ambition takes over.
That is very true. But I do think this public statement is a positive sign. I mean, admitting you need to fix pain points is not something a company like that does lightly. It's an ego hit.
It is. It signals that maybe, just maybe, the engineers are starting to win the argument against the marketing teams.
Or they're just scared enough to finally get serious.
Yeah.
Fear is a pretty good motivator.
It's the best motivator, especially when your big corporate clients start making noise about switching.
So let's wrap this up. The story is clear. 2025 was the year Microsoft broke Windows 11, chasing the AI dragon. Updates caused chaos, and the users revolted.
And 2026 is the year of the mea culpa, a promise to go back to basics: performance, reliability, experience.
And it matters to you, the listener, because your own productivity hinges on this pivot being real. A stable tool is always better than a smart tool that doesn't work.
Absolutely.
But I want to leave you with one last thought to chew on. We talked about how the Insider program is broken, that shell of its former self.
The broken feedback loop.
Right. So if the very system they designed to test features and get feedback is broken, can we actually trust that Microsoft knows how to fix the operating system? Or are they just flying blind into 2026, promising reliability without the very tool they need to ensure it?
That is the billion-dollar question. Intent is one thing. Execution is something else entirely. Without a working Insider program, they're just guessing.
And I guess we'll all be watching to see if they guess right. Thanks for diving in with us on this one.
My pleasure.